Don't call it a comeback. Brandon Graham is back. Now, full transparency, as I record this, he is not officially back, but he's back. And I believe it was Ian Rappaport who had the report. Ian Rappaport had the report at first, and then it was followed by Adam Schefter, and then the John Clarks of the world just hopped on because, God forbid, they don't get seen on Twitter, confirming that Brandon Graham is mulling a return. Here's just to take you behind the scenes. When that stuff leaks out of, oh, hey, he's thinking about coming, he's coming back. It's a matter of when he signs, but he's coming back. It's kind of like, you find it very interesting where that Micah Parsons issue in the offseason of trade me, and the Cowboys are like, no, we're not trading you. All of a sudden, a report comes out from Adam Schefter, expect a decision on the Micah Parsons issue very soon, and a couple hours later he's traded. Like, they know. They're fully aware at this point. So it's a formality. He's coming back. The question then comes, how much does he have left? I imagine he's in okay shape, but I also wonder how much of the Brandon Graham return, of bringing him back, how much of that is locker room dynamic? Because all season long, we have seen a team that has gutted their way to 5-2. You can make the case they should be 4-3. You can make the case they should be 5-1 or 6-1. But they're 5-2, and we've seen them gut their way to these victories where it has not looked perfect, and is followed up by what is wrong in the locker room. Again, we saw it in 2023, and now we're kind of seeing it again of, closed door meetings and the offense looking to get in line and new play callers and stuff. And Brandon Graham isn't going to fix any of that because he's a defensive player. But what he will do is, and I think we can all relate to this, there's always that guy or that girl that just makes going to work more tolerable. You might hate your job, but when that person's there, you hate it a little bit less. When that person is not there, you notice it. Brandon Graham seems to be that guy, where when he is in the building, everybody's happy, everybody's smiling, and it's just a better place to be. And I mean, look, his smile's infectious. We all know that. So I wonder how much of this is just getting a fun working environment, because maybe the pressure to get back to the Super Bowl and live up to what they did last year is becoming too much, which was one of the issues in 2023, as reported by Tim McManus, the pressure to return to the Super Bowl and win it. They were wound too tight. They were playing very, very, very tight football, and it resulted in eventually they crumbled to the floor in a playoff game against Tampa, where it wasn't even competitive. We saw this before with the Eagles in, I believe, 2005, when the locker room was a little bit fractured because of the TO situation, and they brought back Hugh Douglas. Now, Hugh Douglas, same position, defensive end, didn't have a lot left in the tank, but he was a locker room guy at that point, a veteran leader. Andy Reid thought, okay, maybe he can kind of bring everybody together, and I guess he did, because he brought them together to watch him fight Terrell Owens in a shower. Not the point. Brandon Graham, I don't think, is fighting anybody. But how much does he have left football-wise? He's playing a position that they desperately need help in when defensive end. My concern would be they bring him back, and they chalk that up to, that's our trade deadline acquisition. We brought back Brandon Graham, we addressed defensive end, that is it, and they need more. And I don't necessarily look at, Zach Berman, when I interviewed him, he brought up the fact that the trade deadline moves that Howie Roseman has made recently haven't worked out, a la Robert Quinn, Jernard Avery, probably, who else was it? Kevin Byard. There's a few others mixed in there that honestly I'm probably forgetting. I don't necessarily blame him, though, for Robert Quinn or Kevin Byard, because that season they had Tweedledee and Tweedledum working the defense where everybody looked lost. Everybody. All of a sudden, guys that had 20 sacks couldn't get to the quarterback. Pro Bowl, all-pro cornerbacks were getting torched. Everybody sucked. I can't blame Robert Quinn and Kevin Byard for coming in and not looking the best, because nobody did. Because they had this power struggle between Patricia and Desai. So for everybody out there that goes, when we make a trade, it doesn't really have an impact, scrap that. They didn't, I don't think, at least, I don't remember them making a real impact trade last year, but this year they do need help, and they need defensive end help, because unfortunately for them, some of the moves that they made in the offseason haven't really panned out, like the Josh Uches of the world, although I think he did get a sack this game, so maybe not the best timing, but, for the most part, the defensive ends have been a non-factor. And then you look at a Nolan Smith who's injured, and you were banking on him taking the next step. And maybe when he comes back, he does, but it's hard to take a next step when you're injured. So my concern would be, okay, you bring in 79-year-old Brandon Graham, and if you're expecting an impact play, you're probably not getting that. I feel like his impact is going to be more felt in the locker room, whereas you still need help in other areas. I brought up offensive line help in my post-game segment that I did because they desperately need offensive line help. But I don't necessarily think that they're going to go out and trade for an offensive lineman. I think they're going to look more in-house on that, and a Willie Lumpkin is a strong possibility, I think, to get the call to get activated from IR. But when you look at the two positions, I look at, okay, red flags. It's really offensive line depth and maybe guard, because I don't think Tyler Steen's played particularly well. But the big one, though, is defensive end. And then after that, you can look at, outside corner, or the other one that's not Quinyon Mitchell, because Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson have certainly had their pitfalls. But it's I think it's a move worth making for sure. The fan of me wants him to stay retired because I love the fact that he came back. He was injured. He was out for the season. Wait, no, I'm not out for the season. And I'm going to go out on my shield winning a Super Bowl. I love that for him. That's a storybook ending, and I would kind of like it to just end there. But on the Eagles side, I do like the move. I like the idea of bringing him back. And I don't think any Eagles fan is not going to like the move, but I like the move because I do think it'll help in the locker room. How much of an impact he's going to have in that locker room, I don't know, but it's certainly not going to be a negative impact. How much impact is he going to have on the field? I don't know, but it probably won't be a negative impact. So it's really a no-risk move for the Eagles front office. You're bringing in a beloved player by the fan base, but you're also bringing a beloved player by the team who comes in. He has immediate respect by everybody in that locker room, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we got a little swagger back, and I like that. Don't know how much he has left in the tank, though, but it's something that I wasn't overly surprised with, but then again, I was a little surprised. Anyway, that's the part of the video I ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you like this video. You can smash that thumbs down button if you thought this video sucked. You're allowed to do that. And then let me know in the comment section what you think about BG coming back. And do you think this prohibits the Eagles from going out and getting a defensive end? Look, they've already traded a couple picks. They made the move for Fred Johnson. They made the move for Tank Bigsby. Howie Roseman's on record by saying, I hate trading draft picks. Well, you gave up draft picks to go get those guys. How many more picks are they willing to give up to get somebody? I just hope that this isn't the move. I hope that there's something more coming because they do need it. But again, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. And as always, go Birds.